Susan Pierce, TV host, naturopathic life coach, and Raindrop Therapist. And another episode of PTSD Self-Healing Show. Hello, everyone, and I'm very, very happy to have her here. And welcome to my show, Susan.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you. All right, Susan, tell me about yourself. First of all, why do you do PTSD coaching? And tell me about your history, about the TV hosting, because it's it's a good opportunity for my audience to learn about this.
Yes, well, I'm Susan Pierce. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm an ex-biotech pharmaceutical specialist, and I was in pharmaceuticals for 6 years, and I had a 5-car pilot, and I spent 20 plus years in bed. After that wreck, I had tremendous post-traumatic stress. Didn't know it, had no idea. And it took me about 20 years to really realize, like, this is not what I was created to do. And I laid there and started researching a naturopathic way to heal my body and mind. I knew the allopathic way was not healing me. They got me addicted to 14 different drugs, one being Oxycontin at 360 milligrams. That's legal heroin. So I laid in bed 20-something years, a legal heroin addict, not getting up but to go to the grocery store or a doctor's office. And I just prayed one night because I was like, Lord, this is not what you created me to be. This is not the gifts that I have. I'm laying in bed existing. And I heard him in my spirit go, if you trust me, I will teach you to heal yourself. If you can call on, I called on cardiologist, I called on pulmonologist, and the allopathic system made me an addict. It failed me. And I was never made aware that I had post-traumatic stress. I had a 5-car polyp, so that was a huge traumatic event in my life. I had both my parents pass away. That's a huge trauma. And then I've spent 20 plus years trying to recover alone in a house, completely alone, with 3 autoimmune diseases with chronic fatigue so bad I couldn't get out of bed. So I came from a place of being literally broken, and I had to figure out what was wrong with me, how to heal it, and then how to reintegrate into society. And anyone that has post-traumatic stress, they know that just after a trauma, you usually isolate yourself. I isolated myself for it was 1991. I've been sober for May the 12th will be 9 years. So from 1991 until 9 years ago, I was in a bed, queen-size prison with a cat in severe post-traumatic stress. And people thought it was mental illness. It's not mental illness. It was addiction and unprocessed trauma. If you don't process your trauma, it's going to manifest in disease. So
Yes.
My whole legacy is teaching people how to heal themselves through. There's 2 reasons why you're sick. You're toxic, which means you're inflamed, and you're malnourished. And if you're sick, you probably have unprocessed trauma, energy blockages that's manifested in the physical form. And when I realized the physical, mental, and spiritual components of healing, I was like, I've got to teach this. So I spent my inheritance. I came out and I developed 13 naturopathic TV shows. I started writing professionally, started doing radio and blogs. Now I'm a speaker, about to publish a book. We're going to be talking about publishing.
Yes.
And I just try to go to stages, and I try to empower women. I don't care how much money you make. If you're an entrepreneur woman, want to empower yourself. If you're not healthy and your body is not able to carry you to these places, you're not going to be successful.
Exactly. I like it. You know what? This actually applies to me as well, because I understand for the fertility coaching that if you have post-traumatic stress, you're not going to be happy, and you're going to block your reproductive functions. It's not only that, post-traumatic stress can also block your body to heal.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
lots of chronic disease, and they said unexplained. The problem is, these days I'm actually studying functional medicine,
Good.
Yeah, because I'm doing coaching for my clients, fertility coaching. It's an integrative coaching
Hmm.
with the holistic medicine, herbalism, and now I said I'm gonna complete it with functional medicine because I understand exactly what's happening in our body.
Yes.
There are
Yeah.
lots of symptoms you get. Let's say they say you have a thyroid, you have thyroid
Yes.
issue, but it may have other underlying issues that is related. I mean, show it as thyroid, but it's not actually thyroid.
You want to know what it is?
Yeah, it's
Would you like to
emotional
understand the
stress.
process?
There are lots of problem. Like it's not only one. It can be a
It's
lots of reasons.
multifunctional. The
Yeah.
problem is once you go through a trauma, that trauma is in your electrical field. It is in your brain. It is literally in, let's say this is my brain's receptor site right here. This is the receptor, okay? And this is trauma. So it comes in and it blocks that brain's receptor site, the trauma does. So I use herbs and aromatherapy to just remove that from the receptors. If my brain can't receive these stimuluses, because when you've been traumatized, you go into hyper visualization, you're hypersensitive to noise, sound, smells, environments, anything that could trigger the subconscious. You have to address the trauma in the limbic system. And through aromatherapy and essential oils and herbs, I can come in and I can clean that. So if I can clean your limbic system, then I need to get you out of fight or flight. I stayed in fight or flight for 5 years. Really, I've realized, sadly, my whole life I've been in fight or flight. My nervous system has been stimulated. I've never been able to sleep. My sleeps have been backwards the schedule. I've been a night owl. My parasympathetic has been stimulated. My cortisol went through the roof. So when your cortisol goes up, guess what happens to your digestion? It goes
Hmm.
down. So if you can't eat because your cortisol is so high, your body doesn't make melatonin, so you're not going to be able to sleep. And the only way you can understand these body processes is through functional medicine, integrative, or a naturopathic approach. You have to get to that root problem. You got to get to the root and you got to pull that root out. Now, I'll tell you one thing, a lot of times with trauma, you can talk for 30 years to a therapist. Talk therapy is in the left side of the brain. Your trauma is in the right side of the brain usually. If you don't draw or describe, like I use ITR therapy, it saved my life. Mary Carlson, if you're watching this, you saved my life. Mary uses ITR therapy that makes you draw a picture from the beginning of whatever happened. Like, let's say I was sexually assaulted. So she's like, I want you to draw that morning, you getting in the car with your friend, going down to that clinic. Mine was at of all places, a colonics clinic to go heal, and the owner assaulted me when I was on my stomach trying to get a raindrop. And you were asking me, what's a raindrop therapy? What do I
Yes,
do?
yes.
You use 9 oils in order of increasing frequency, and you make a physokinetic charge, and I do etherod strokes up your spine. And a raindrop is using the frequency of an essential oil, but it's bringing in nutrition and it's bringing in oxygen. Any viruses or bacteria you've ever had in your life is laying dormant in your spine. So if you coming to me and you have cancer, autoimmune, post-traumatic stress, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to detox your body. What's the most potent way to detox a body? A raindrop therapy session. Takes me about an hour and a half. I'm recreating the northern lights, that light frequency through oil frequency. I'm putting that light frequency into your spine, flooding you with light, nutrition, oxygen, and then I'm calming your nervous system down because I'm using aromatherapies. It's all
Mm.
detoxing and nutrition. But unless you go to an integrative person or a naturopath or functional that gets to that root, all you're going to do is go to the hospital or the doctors allopathically, and they're just going to drug you. I was a pharmaceutical rep. That's all I did. If you have post-traumatic stress and they're like, you need some Valium. You need to have Valium or Klonopin. My doctor tried to put me on Klonopin. And I was like, I'm an addict. I'm 9 years sober, and your answer is to drug me? No, thank you. How about learning to tap energy points?
Yeah,
Cross.
I believe in it. EFTS. I like that.
Yes, tapping your body, releasing the trapped energy points, deep breathing. I do breathing exercises. In for 7, hold for 4, out for 8, hard through the diaphragm. When you have someone that's triggered in a triggered state of mind, your first priority is to make them feel safe and to get them present. And that
Mm-hmm.
is either through breathing or tapping. And then just tell them you're in a safe environment, whatever you're reliving, you're not there, because your brain goes back to the original assault. Mine could be getting assaulted or in a car wreck. My brain doesn't know the difference. It's been triggered. And people that go to normal, like psychiatrists or therapists, they don't recognize what post-traumatic stress is. It is a cortisol flying issue. It is your limbic system getting stuck. And it's going to
Mm-hmm.
mask. It's going to look like mental illness. And all they're going to do is throw Xanax at you or Klonopin and say, I'll see you in 30 days. Have they gotten to the root of the problem? No. That's where ITR therapy, where you can relive the event, describe it through words, retell the story. So let's say we're going to relive my car event. So I draw the story of me in my little car going to get my nails done with my best friend, writing the words happy, centered, whatever. And then I get back in the car and I write at the red light and I draw it, and I draw someone running into me and what that looks like, going to the hospital on the backboard, writing all the words that I fear. And that was a lot of fear. So I'm getting the right side of the brain where the trauma's trapped, and my brain's going as I'm writing pen to paper. When you're in a high cortisol post-traumatic stress, you need to be journaling to brain
Yeah,
balance.
yeah, I did the same.
Yeah, brain balancing. You have to do pen to paper. So if I'm making the story and telling a description and my brain is accessing that story, and then my subconscious is going, okay, I'm not that person 40 years ago in a car wreck. I'm safe, I'm present, and I'm healthy. And your brain releases it. The first time I did one session with Mary, I woke up for the first time after 5 years. Okay, I would wake up shaking, crying, and saturated in sweat because of my cortisol, and I was in fight or flight. I never slept. I never slept.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd forget to eat. So I got anorexic, and everybody's like, she's anorexic. I'm like, no, I'm just in trauma. And I'd try to go to churches or find counselors, and nobody understood it was post traumatic trauma. I was in post traumatic stress.
Susan, what did you do? I mean, the moment you realize you have post-traumatic trauma, what did you do? Like, how did you help yourself? What was the start point?
The start point was to realize I wasn't crazy. I wasn't crazy. And
Yeah.
that I legitimately had trauma done to my body. I was sexually assaulted, and I was in a car wreck, and I had traumatic death. My mama died in my arms. I never processed. When I went to a trauma counselor, she said, I need you to write your traumas from age 0 to 5, 5 to 10. And I really say for my clients listening or people or audience, write your traumas. When you're 0 to 5 years old, 5 years old to 10 years old, 10 to 15 years old, and go all the way up to your present age. In every life event or anything that's traumatized you, that horse that threw you, or the time you almost drowned, or that near-death experience that you had, or that really bad sickness where you almost died and you're told you would never walk again or die, that's trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays in your electrical field. What is your electrical field? That is your bioresonance. That is your frequency of your body. We are just energy. We are mitochondrial function, and trauma gets trapped in your electrical field. Now, if you get that trauma trapped long enough in your electrical field, it causes blockages. And when you get physical blockages, they manifest as disease. You start getting leaky gut. You start getting adrenal burnout. You will go
Mm-hmm.
into if you have post-traumatic stress, I promise you, your adrenals are off. Your hormones are not balanced. Your
Yeah.
hormones are not balanced. Your
I
sex life is going to be
definitely
off.
follow. I definitely follow you. I had the same
Yeah.
problem.
It's
And
all
the
and weight
moment,
gain. Did you get the weight gain? You'll either lose weight from
no,
cortisol
I
or
never, thanks God, I never had weight problem. But I started loving myself, and I
that's the
started
first step.
feeling, yeah,
That's the first
feeling
step.
safe. and I started actually new things. So lots of good distraction helped me to reframe my brain
So
and
you epigenetically, no, you neuroplastically changed your brain through different habits. You laid down different tracks, different habits.
yes, because I don't believe this. They said time is a medicine. I don't believe this.
Yeah,
They said
no,
when it passes, you will forget, but it's
you
not,
don't.
because
No,
it's gonna go deeply
it
inside
goes
your
deeper.
heart. It
You know what
hurts.
happens is you
Yeah,
start transferring that trauma if you have children or your family, and you
yeah,
don't process it. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper into
exactly.
your
And then
electrical field.
what happened? It disappeared like cancer or
Yes. We
infertility,
don't disappear.
lots
It
of chronic
manifests as
problems.
something else. Yes. It comes as an
Exactly.
autoimmune disease. It comes as Epstein-Barr virus. A lot of y'all with post-traumatic stress have Epstein-Barr and Lyme cofactors. I promise
Yes,
you.
I
And
like
you're
that.
going to have
Yes.
adrenal problems. You're going to have thyroid problems because your adrenals and your thyroid are part of your endocrine system. And a lot of y'all are going to have leaky gut, and you're not sleeping because your melatonin is off, your cortisol is off, which are your hormones. Your body is a pump. That's what my book that we were talking about before we went live. I took my whole process of when my car wreck happened. What does that look like? What did I do to, get healthy? And then I did a one-stop shop. This is how I got healthy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, oil pulling, dry brushing, but a lot of it is herbs and oils and supplements and how, because when you have post-traumatic stress, you have some supplements you need for your brain. And I'm not treating, curing, preventing, but fish oil, turmeric, you're inflamed. Your brain is on fire, literally on fire,
Yes, yes.
literally, literally.
So, Susan, let's just have few second break and we come back again. Please subscribe to Ponto Calhoun Transition channel and order my book Rules of Change for the Better. Tune up your mood and transform your life to reach your biggest dreams. All right. I actually really understand that when you go to doctor, you have problems.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you have some problems for years. Like I had asthma, and I went to different medical doctors. They just changed from one puff to another. And I knew that's not right. That's not really right. Because why should I addicted to this kind of medicine forever? So that's why I started recovering myself more. That's the purpose of this PTSD Self-Healing Show, to just talk about this idea that if you have chronic disease, please, if you have chronic disease, you may have some PTSD that you are not aware
Mm-hmm.
of. You may have something from your childhood, maybe
Yes.
even something that really bothered you. You have
Mm-hmm.
to process it. Unless it's going to show up as a tumor, it's going to show up as
Yes.
asthma, chronic disease. So please take care of yourself and just listen to our show to see what others did to recover from this.
And the first thing I'd like to tell people that have post-traumatic stress again is that you're not crazy. The emotions you're feeling are from trauma. You are supposed to feel. Do not let anyone tell you you are not supposed to feel something, because that is abuse. A lot of y'all with post-traumatic stress have been abused by a narcissistic demon. I call them narculas. They come in as Draculas, and they like vampires suck the energy out of you. So if you have a narcissist in your family or friends, or you work with one, and we all know one, I promise you, and you have unresolved traumas, that's pretty much probably why you have autoimmune or cancers. And cancer is hypoxia. If your cells become hypoxic, if you're wearing masks, smothering yourself, and you're not exercising and managing stress or eating organically, your cells don't get oxygen. If you're not, where do we get plants from? We get our medicine from plants, right? Where do we get our pharmaceuticals? We get them from plants. So like you're like instinctively, intuitively knew I don't want to go to pharmaceuticals and be on a puffer or inhaler for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
You can go do mullein leaf. You can do herbal supplements like echinacea, things to support. You can do nebulized colloidal silver to go in and clean those lungs out. There are so many things alternatively and holistically the way that God intended. We're not supposed to be synthetic, counting on pharmaceutical magics. You know what I'm
And you know
saying?
what they do? What they do with the puff? When I asked the doctor, they said when that's gonna be blocked, and you just try to open it, and it's gonna be blocked again. I said, why? What is the root cause? Why I'm having this? There
Because you're
is no
inflamed.
answer. There was no answer. Exactly. I had
It's what
problem
you
with
eat. It's what you
exactly,
eat, your
exactly.
inflammation. And you know what's so weird? What I found in my research, if
Yes.
you were abused or molested as a little girl, because I have asthma and I was abused, your lungs never develop. It's trauma.
No, I
It's
never.
trauma.
No, I never had this problem.
Yeah.
But
Well, some people it's food. Some people it's a food allergy. It could be an IgE
allergy,
antibody.
exactly. I know what was
Yeah.
my problem. Dairy product. As soon as
There you go.
I didn't use the dairy product, I feel much, 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 much better. And you
Or
can believe this.
gluten. If you
Yeah,
have post-traumatic stress, guys, you've got to fix your gut and you've got to get off gluten. If you've got to do stuff like fish oil and turmeric, if you're not feeding your brain like eating an avocado every day, these are simple things. Your nervous system is stimulated. You've got to calm your nervous system down. Chamomile tea, Bach flower, stress remedy. Bach flower is a wonderful, wonderful herb. It's a flower, actually. Flower
chamomile,
essence is another
chamomile
wonderful
tea.
product.
I have sensitivity to chamomile tea. I don't
Oh, okay.
know.
You have
My
well,
stomach doesn't take it. So everybody is different. So
yes,
that's
that's why you
why
get a life coach. Yes.
exactly. So that's why any remedy may not apply to you. So you have to find your
Right.
own exactly your own body uh, needs.
And you might be on medication that you can't do certain herbal plants, guys. These herbs are how we got our original medicine. They're as potent or more potent than pharmaceuticals. So be very careful if you're taking pharmaceuticals and you think, I'm just going to start taking some herbs. No, you need to consult. Well, you need to get an
Exactly.
herbalist. You need to get an herbalist, call because the doctors aren't taught. I'm telling you, they're Rothschild trained, allopathic system, and they're going to look at you like you're crazy for taking an herb. Just a fact, Jack. And, herbs are how we heal. So get an herbalist or get a naturopath, life coach, or a naturopath or integrative. But you can heal, guys. And, post traumatic stress, it's serious. You isolate and you become your brain on trauma. You're very untrusting to people. I don't trust people. I have relationship problems now because of my post traumatic stress. It's changed me, but I know I can heal.
Yes, yeah, yes, exactly. So let's go to some comments. Hi, lovelies. Feeling is our divine right.
Uh,
So delighted
Thank you.
I was able to tap into this truth. And somebody else saying, I healed my ovarian cyst with the Reiki, crystals, essential oils, and batch flowers. I don't know about batch
Yeah,
flowers,
bud
but
flowers. Bud flowers are
yeah,
for that stress. Crystals, guys, put on frequency. If you have post-traumatic stress, I'm trying to show up this way. This way. There we go. I got certified as an EMF specialist because I am a sensitive to electromagnetic radiation. I have things that protect you from radiation. If you have a lot of nervous system disorders or sensitivities, you're going to be very susceptible to electromagnetic frequencies. Be very careful about limiting your time on devices if your nervous system is really stimulated because false, fake light stimulates your eyes and your adrenals and it can drain you. It drains your mitochondrial holding these things. That's why it's
mm,
important to go ground out nature with your crystals and get in touch with
yeah,
nature. Some vitamin D
exactly.
for your eyes. Take those sunglasses off and get out in the nature and the vitamin D and the sunshine. Best
Yes,
medicine in the
yes.
world.
You
Best
know,
medicine in the world.
interesting. Reiki, I've heard, I mean, a lot of people, we had a lot of interviewees that talk about Reiki. I know it's a good remedy for a lot of people.
It's
Yeah,
spiritual. It's using
yes,
the now
so
there's different
spiritual.
forms of energy healers. You have to ask what intentions
Yeah,
behind it. I do Holy
but
Spirit energy work, but
Yes, as you said, first you have to find deeply what's wrong with
Yes.
you.
And
I mean, the
admit
root
you were
cause.
hurt. Admit
Exactly.
what happened to you. Tell people, look, this happened to me. This is my
Yeah.
story.
Yes. So it's like whatever you have in your body, because everybody is sensitive about something. You may have the same root cause and you're not aware of. That's why we have functional medicine that they have the full panel of the
Hmm.
blood test, and you have the um, mm, is not only blood test, you have other tests like urine, dried urine, Dutch you said. And these are things that you can get to see exactly what is happening to you. And
Because you
every
don't,
pieces of body is actually related to each other.
yeah,
And
if you don't get to the root cause, you're never going to heal. And I'm so proud of you for doing functional medicine because you're making sure the organs function. If you can get the body and the organs detoxed and flood it with nutrition and get them functioning, you can heal a body. So
yeah,
bravo to you for going to the
yeah,
functional side of
yeah. Thank
medicine.
you so much. Yeah. Knowledge, acknowledging the trauma is the key. Exactly. You
Yeah.
first you need to accept that you may be hurt or you had this trauma, then you have to process it, and is not difficult. There are some ways you can process your trauma. You may talk to an expert and really dig into it. For me, it was a bit different because I had a car accident. Somebody robbed my car, threw me out of the car. I talk about this
Oh my
trauma
goodness.
in every show, but that trauma really hurt me because I had a back injury. Physically and emotionally, I was really hurt. And it took me like um, maybe 1 year to totally remove these symptoms from my body. I was hospitalized for few months. And
So he
it's
threw you out of the car? Like he got
thrown
your
me
car
out of
and
the car
threw you
and
out of the car?
hit me with the knife point, and that was really bad. Like, but
Oh,
the
sister.
interesting point, as I told other people in other shows, I never get the negative emotion. So as soon as this happened, I said, I'm not gonna go and hate him. I prayed and I said, okay, whatever happens, it happens. I leave it to God. So from the beginning, with all the pains I had the releasing energy in my body. And the interesting things happened 2 days later because I had my cell phone in my car. He called the home. He called home and he said, I'm going to return your car. This never happened with anybody else. And he robbed my car, he returned my car, and I had a bless. But I just realized keeping all the negative emotion inside you is gonna ruin your body and it's gonna block your body. So, and I didn't want to be in that place. I already had a lot of emotional and physical trauma in my body.
Right.
It took me some time because
IT
I,
art therapy,
yeah,
ITR
because,
therapy would be wonderful for you. If you had knife point at
yeah,
that, I'm surprised you can even go out in public. So my heart, it wrenches for you because I know how that feels.
yes,
Um, just acknowledging that that happened. But the key when I lost, I was bedbound, as I said, and got up to 257 pounds. And for me to lose weight, it's kind of funny that you said that. You want to know the key to me losing weight is when I forgave my family who abandoned me when I was sick.
wow,
And
exactly,
when I
exactly.
started
Exactly.
forgiving, when I
Releasing the
released it, yep,
negative.
I
Yeah,
released that, and then when I released that out of my body, and I said, no matter what, they're not gonna love me if I'm sober. They're not gonna love me if I'm drugged. They're not gonna love me if I'm 257 pounds. They're not gonna love me when I'm 125. They're not gonna love me, and it's okay. And I'm gonna love them, and I'm gonna ask God to bless them and be with them. And I did this little ritual. I kind of, I'm a Jesus lover. People don't like me because of that, but I ask God, I take their energy and I wash it in the blood of God, and I send their energy back to them. And I take the parts of me that I've given and shared with them, and I wash it in the blood of Jesus, and I ask God to return it back to me. And then I ask God to cut that cord, the ethereal silver cord, and I release you. And when I did that, and I said, I forgive them, whether they love me, accept me, or anything. And within 2.5 years, I lost 150 pounds naturally
Oh,
in the
wow.
thyroid,
Good for you.
failure and menopause and being bedbound for 20 years. My doctor's like, how did you do that? And I said, because I built myself up from the inside out.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah. Good for
I had to
you.
rebuild myself. And you can transform, but just like a butterfly, sometimes you have to go into a cocoon and you have to really kind of protect your energy, and you have to
Ah,
find out who I am and what makes me
you know,
happy.
Susan, look at this book.
No.
We
No,
talk about
it
this
was
right
totally not. As an empath, I was
exactly what you
totally
said.
feeling
Yeah.
that.
And
As an
that's
empath, I picked
what
up on that. That's what I was feeling.
amazing. Yeah.
So I
Cocoon and
did receive, there's a beautiful gift in trauma. Let me tell you, if you really tap into your trauma, you will get the most empowering power, because you realized no one in the world has power over you. When you take full control and responsibility of your life and you say, I don't need another validation from another living person but God Almighty, that's when you become empowered. When you surrender to the healing process and say, no matter what I have to do, I'm going to eat organically, I'm going to detox, I'm going to flood my body with nutrition, I'm going to get into nature, I'm going to forgive people, and I'm just going to love people where they are. Now, if you're a toxic narcissist, you don't have access to my life. There are boundaries. You cross those boundaries, you don't have access to my life. That's period.
exactly. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had to learn that, because I'm a co-independent little person going to are you healthy? Can I help you? Need something to eat? No, I've learned to put myself first, and I don't have to people please because I love myself first now.
Exactly. That's the key. Because,
That's the key.
that's the key.
That's the
If
key.
interesting point, I talked to so many therapists, so many people in PTSD coaching. That's the first thing they always talk, self-love. And the thing is, I see some of parents take their kids to psychotherapists uh, and force them to be
Hmm.
with them and to because they're going to
Yeah,
help, right? But by the time they are not willing to help themselves, the therapy doesn't go well,
right.
right?
And you know what's so sad is not just one sick person in the family, it's usually a family.
Exactly, because
It's a
this
family
energy is
problem.
there. It's this energy in that environment, and people affect each other. People mirroring each other's trauma. If there are couples, if there are kids, yeah. Even if you are taking care of somebody with the PTSD, again, you have to put yourself first, because if you're not healthy, you cannot help them. Yeah,
You can't pour from the empty cup. And I know a lot of health coaches that their personal lives are a mess. And I promise you, if I know your personal life's a mess, I'm not going to hire you as a life coach, because until you get your life together, how could you help me?
yeah,
So I watch a lot of people. I'm very funny about even shows I do, because I watch people. And if you don't walk the talk per se, I'm not going to give you my time and my knowledge. So I'm very particular. You have to be very particular about the 5 people you allow in your life, because in some form or fashion, you are mirroring those 5 people. And
exactly,
some of y'all, when you were a little girl or boy, you got bad programming. You're not a bad or broken person. You just got bad programming. And you can be, like we were talking about epigenetically, you carry the traumas of your ancestors, and it's your time, your cycle. It's going to stop with you if you stand up and go, okay, with me it stops. It stops. I'm not going to pass this down to my generations of my family. And you have to take control. And also epigenetically, no, excuse me, neuroplastically, where you can literally do new habits every day. You talked about you did new habits. Like when I had to lose weight and I was bedbound for 25 years, do you not think I had to change everything I did? All I did was take drugs and watch TV and rub on a cat. That's all I did for 25 years. No stimulation, no love, no hugs, no nothing.
Yes,
I
new
don't know how I
habits.
live
You have to replace old habits to new
with
ones.
new
That's
ones.
what I did. Yeah, exactly.
So what I did is I started knowing that I had to retrain my brain. I started doing new habits. Like I got up and I started walking. The first day I walked 5 feet. Might not have been much to most people, but when you're bedbound for 25 years and you get up and you walk 5 feet, that's a good thing. The next day I walked 10 feet. The next day I walked 15 feet. And before long, I was walking around the block. And then before long, I was starting to run around the block. You have to set your daily mindset. It is your daily intentions. Are you going to get up and you're going to have a protein shake? Are you going to eat crap? Are you going to get up and meditate and pray and connect to source? Or are you going to get up and be totally narcissistic and self-absorbed? Are you going to get up and put music on and put praise music on and get your electrical field up and eat good things to get your electrical field up? It's your choice. You are the input of that you allow in your life. So whatever you're listening to, whatever you're watching, whatever you're touching, whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, you're literally becoming that. So you better question the 5 people, what you hang around and what you eat and what you listen to and what you read, what you are. So if you're anxious, depressed, and malnourished, and totally all the time in a post-traumatic, like here, you're nervous. You're nervous because your nervous system is stimulated. Your cortisol is too high. You're not crazy. You don't need drugs. You need to calm your system down. How do you calm your nervous system down when you're in fight or flight? You get on your back, you put your legs up on the wall, and you sit there and you deep breathe for 20 minutes. You don't need to pop a Xanax. Let's get the blood back into your heart, into your organs. They're in your extremities, ready to run an imaginary line. You're in fight or flight.
Exactly. All right, we ran out of the time, out of time. Tell me about your website, like Facebook. Are you connected? Oh my goodness. Looks like we are losing connection. We wait for a few seconds. No, Susan is not here. All right, guys, we actually run out of time. We couldn't get back to Susan. We wait for a few seconds to see if she's coming back or not. If not, I really wish you enjoy this show, and thank you so much for all the comments and all the encouragement you give us.